I was already a fan of Cyberpunk 2077 even before this update 2.0, but now with update 2.0 out, well, now is all the more reason to gush about this game once again, and no better excuse to revisit Night City just days before Phantom Liberty drops. Now, without further ado, remember, if you do enjoy today's video, don't forget to leave it a big old like. If you enjoy content like this, you want more like it, be sure to check out that button underneath the video. It used to be red, it still says subscribe. Last but not least, gotta thank my channel members. You guys help make these videos possible. If you want to join, get access to the exclusive perks that they get, be sure to check out that blue join button. Anyway, let's begin. Now, whether you have never played Cyberpunk 2077 before, maybe you bought it day one, saw the issues with it and haven't touched it since, or maybe even played it within the last year or so and got to see it in a much better state than it was at launch, but still not quite at its full potential. Well, regardless of which experience that you've had with this game, I have to say that now is the time to experience the Cyberpunk 2077 that we all were originally promised. Shame it has come so late, but honestly, it's better late than never. Now, CD Projekt Red has accomplished this with a few seemingly simple changes that really have streamlined the experience. One of the most significant, in my opinion, especially for people who are used to playing RPG games that have stats and all kinds of skill trees and whatnot, one of the biggest changes to this game is how the skill trees work. Previously, you had something that was very similar to what we had in games like The Witcher and other RPGs, but The Witcher's better because it's made by the same studio, where it is very heavily stat-based on weapons, and you're constantly going into menus, whether it's to change out cyberware, whether it's to change out the clothes that you're wearing, whether it's to change out the weapons that you have, so you can constantly get better stats. You can have 10 of the same gun, but one has better stats than the previous iteration, so you'll use the one with the best stats on it. Now that is no longer the case. Now clothes are simply clothes. Weapons have the stats that they have, and some are going to be legendary and better versions of previous ones, but it's very, very much simplified. What the real area where you're going to be editing how you're going to approach the world and how you're going to approach the gameplay is going to be in the skill tree, where you'll be able to change your basic attributes such as your body, your intelligence, your coolness, etc. All those kind of generic archetypes. You'll play into each one of those and put points into them. And then within those, based on how many points that you've put towards each one of those, will unlock a certain amount of the skill tree for you to go through and apply skills in each one of those skill trees. So for example, if you heavily invest in your reflexes, you can go in and invest in skills inside that apply to your reflexes, and maybe that leads to you being more of a samurai melee wielding type of character, and you build your cyberware around that playstyle. And I think that's a much better way to go about how you build out a character. That way you're not worrying about what clothes you're wearing, you're not worrying about the different stats of your guns, where in that traditional sense where it's like, oh well, this pistol has 20 more damage than the other version of this pistol, so I'm gonna go with this one. No, pistol's a pistol, AR is an AR, LMG is an LMG. You just go with the one that is your favorite, and that way you can kind of have that aesthetic element to your character that I think is such part of the personality of Night City. So it's really streamlined that. When you get a hold of it, I think you're gonna really enjoy that aspect of it. It just feels so right for a game like this, and I hope other RPGs take notes on this sort of style of approaching how you're going to role play in your role-playing game. Now, in terms of the role-playing and actually playing the game, let's not talk about menus, because they want us to spend less time in menus, judging by this update. How's the gameplay? What improvements have they brought to it? Well, number one, again, setting up your character the way you want to is going to improve your gameplay experience, because it's going to make your strengths stronger. So you're going to enjoy that part of the gameplay. There are some new skills that are available. I haven't gotten to play around too much with all the different ones, but there are certain things that I do enjoy quite a bit, especially in the combat, being able to dash around. You can now do mid-air dashes, and you can just be very, very difficult for enemies in Night City, whether it's enemy gangs or whether it is the NCPD. You can be very difficult for them to deal with. Now, speaking of that, if you do make the NCPD angry enough, well, they will consider you a cyber psycho. And if you've seen the Edge Runners TV show, well, you probably have some idea as to what that will implicate. Yes, you can have max tac called in on you when you reach 5 stars. So unlike in Grand Theft Auto, where reaching 5 stars means you need to go hop in your tank and you can just keep going as long as you can, max tac will come, max tac will find you, and you just aren't going to live, which really gets terrifying when you hear the sound. They did a great job with the audio design. Once you hear it, you know, well, it's going to be over soon. It just is so fitting with the way that this world is and a lot of the other different cyberpunk media around it. It just fits so right. The other thing I also want to point out is it also makes this part so much better in the early part of the game.
Ain't got all day!
Check it out, V. Shit's going down.
Get the here! Fucking shoot!
Like your average bust.
Cause they ain't your average badges. It's max tac. NCPD's apex predators. MTAC rolls in when things fly out of hand. Gonks out there, though. Just a midday snack for them.
It just makes everything feel so much more threatening in the city that you live in, and I think that's perfect for a place like Night City. Remember, there are no happy endings in this town. Now, on top of that, it's not just getting out of your car and being able to start chaos on the street. You can also actually fight from your car. There is vehicle combat now, which makes police chases and gang chases far more interesting. There are also cars that you can get, or other vehicles that you can get that do have weapons on them, and you can cycle through them and just have a darn good time. It really is. It feels like so much more of the sandbox of Night City has opened up to a lot of players. Now, beyond a lot of the gameplay changes and a lot of the role-playing changes, it does seem like they did change quite a few minor details in terms of visuals. It seems like they've enhanced the way faces look in certain ways. I think the most notable is, of course, Keanu Reeves' character, Johnny Silverhand, who just looks so much better in this version of the game after the update. Just not that he looked bad before, but he just looks a lot more detailed and a lot more alive, I guess, a lot more authentic, maybe. I don't know, but a lot of different things, if you have played before, you will notice look a lot better. And if you haven't played before, honestly, you are in for a pretty darn good treat. All in all, I highly recommend Cyberpunk 2077. I would have recommended it a year ago, and I recommend it so much more now, especially with Phantom Liberty right around the corner. Just a few days away. Right now is the absolute perfect time to hop in and have a grand old time. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below what you think of Update 2.0. Let me know what you think down below of Cyberpunk 2077. Have you played it before?